And we continue at 1:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
John, file this one under...
The bureaucracy is real.
In Sebastopol in Sonoma County, a woman is being offered $10,000 to move out of her affordable housing department because the affordable housing that she leased for her family is supposed to only be for farm workers. And I guess she didn't want to pick up some hay.
Well, who does? 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. And Randy, right now it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And the first edition of the blotter involves the SWAT team.
You know, there are some chases that are so dramatic that even with the sound off, if you just have a TV on in the background, you're not getting any work done. You are not paying attention to whatever you're supposed to be doing. You are glued to the screen. And Los Angeles had one of those chases yesterday as two felons stole a big rig, were driving it down the freeway, and the SWAT team decided the best way to deal with this thing is to ram it with one of their vans.
You see, this is why I've never understood why anyone pays attention to NASCAR. You go to a NASCAR race, you buy an expensive ticket, you sit out in the sun, you get third-degree burns, and you see a bunch of professionals making left turns. What I like to see are the high-speed chases, because those people, they're not playing for a winner's purse. They're playing for keeps. And you get all of the bells and whistles in just about all of them, where you get the traffic infractions, you get the high rates of speed. Sometimes you get the police dogs involved, and sometimes there's gunplay. Because the motivation in a high-speed chase is not the winner's purse. It's avoiding a third strike. And oh boy, is that a motivating factor.
For more on this wild chase throughout Southern California, here is NBC4 in Los Angeles.
Breaking right now at 3, 2 men are in custody after a wild and dangerous pursuit in a possibly stolen big rig.
It was stolen.
Yeah, at this point, do we really have to say possibly stolen?
I think it was verified about 10 minutes after this report came out.
Good afternoon.
Well, you know, Randy, he could have been working his shift delivering the Pepsi, and then at the end of the shift decided to become a criminal.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Annabelle Sedano. You saw it here before our 11 a.m. newscast. The pursuit started in Fontana and ended safely in Buena Park with a heavy...
That is a long pursuit.
That ended at Camp Snoopy.
Fontana to Buena Park. How many different freeways do you have to take to even get there?
Quite a few.
I guess you go, what, the 210 to maybe the 10 to the 5? Well, no, you got to get to Buena Park, so unless you're getting on that 91, you got to take the 405. And how exactly are these freeways clear for that?
They're always clear whenever there's a high-speed chase.
And ended safely in Buena Park with a heavy SWAT vehicle boxing in that truck. And at first, police thought the passenger may have been a kidnapping victim. NBC4's Hetty Chang is live in Buena Park with breaking new information about both men now in custody. Hetty.
Yeah, Annabelle, this was an interesting pursuit that just got a little more interesting. Fontana police confirming that both the driver and the passenger...
I wonder, since they were in Buena Park at the end of this, if the SWAT team was inspired by medieval times and they wanted to do a modern-day version of jousting.
They don't even give you a spoon for your soup over there.
Had felony warrants out for grand theft auto. So now investigators are trying to determine whether the passenger was kidnapped or if the two men knew each other.
So get that. The felons that are stealing this truck were trying to outrun warrants for something else they stole.
Just crossed onto the wrong side of the road. He's going into oncoming traffic.
The pursuit of a possible stolen big rig that started around 9:30 this morning in Fontana led police both in the air and on the ground into Orange County, where the driver seemed to go in circles, getting on and off the 91 and 5 freeways.
When exactly at 9 o'clock in the morning is it possible to move that fast on the 91?
Never. You're trying to get to LAX to catch a flight. Guess what? It's bumper to bumper the whole way there. But if you're trying to avoid arrest for a couple of warrants that you have outstanding, it's nothing but open lanes.
Where the driver seemed to go in circles, getting on and off the 91 and 5 freeways in and around Buena Park. The stakes escalating when Fontana police say a woman called them, saying her father was the passenger being held against his will in that trailer.
Turns out that was BS.
So everything is misinformation in this story?
Well, you got to theorize what exactly is the cause to erroneously call the police and say, hey, watch out, one of those people is a kidnapping victim. It could be one of two things. One, someone just wanted to prank the local authorities. Or two, you're a friend or family member of the two felons that are evading the cops, and they're going to pursue you a little more carefully if they think one of the people is a hostage.
Yeah, I think that's the message. Don't shoot him.
So they didn't shoot him. They just rammed him.
Now police are looking into whether that was true or if it was a hoax.
He threw a water bottle out or it fell out.
Here, we thought the driver may be getting out of the truck, but on he went until...
Oh, there's a bearcat. They just rammed it with a bearcat. Holy moly.
I love the fact that they're giving them the benefit of the doubt on the trash going outside the window of the vehicle, too. How many times has a water bottle just fallen out of your moving car?
It's very possible that a convicted felon who's evading a warrant for Grand Theft Auto also litters.
Give a hoot, don't pollute.
And then at the corner of Franklin and Beach Boulevard, that same bearcat blocked the driver in.
They pinned him in. The passenger looks like they have opened their door. The passenger's door is open. Hands are up from the passenger.
A swarm of officers with guns drawn taking both...
They needed the biggest van that SWAT had to take down that big rig.
And boy, did they.
A swarm of officers with guns drawn taking both driver and passenger into custody.
Very exciting, I know. My heart was beating up, like adrenaline.
I was a little bit shocked. It's not something that you see every day, especially when...
Actually, it is.
He must not watch the news.
Now, to be fair, they don't usually end up in Orange County.
No, usually they end up in L.A. County because that's where everyone gets away.
It's not something that you see every day, especially when the officers surround a vehicle and they start pulling out weapons, and it was a little bit exciting.
Fontana police identify the driver as 54-year-old Bill Fayed of Buena Park, who they say they considered an armed and dangerous parolee at large.
So who paroled him?
That's a very good question.
Who at the state parole board said that this guy was safe to re-enter society early?
Because look at what he's spending his time doing. Putting everyone at risk. Everyone on the road was put at risk. Everyone in Buena Park was put at risk. I mean, that's a tourist destination, too.
And I know we kind of glossed over it. Listen to the description again, especially this man's age.
It was a little bit exciting.
Fontana police identify the driver as 54-year-old Bill Fayed of Buena Park.
54 years old.
If you can't get with the program at 54 years of age, you're a lost cause.
Who they say they can...
There is no reforming this man.
Who they say they can...
No, at this point, the only thing we can do to make sure that we benefit from dealing with this guy is making sure he doesn't reproduce.
You know, I know that we have certain protections, even for the worst of us under the Constitution, but every once in a while, you just wonder what would have happened to this guy if he was in Saudi Arabia. You steal that many cars, they probably lop off your feet.
They probably do. You get away with that once over there, and suddenly, guess what? You got nothing but stubs.
Good luck hitting the gas.
Who they say they considered an armed and dangerous parolee at large. Police say Fayad also had a no-bail warrant for grand theft auto.
Lifelong career criminal that we let out of prison early.
Well, he doesn't need prison, Randy. He needs accountability. Don't you pay attention to Newsom?
Investigators say the passenger is 42-year-old Carlos Richard Mesta from Rancho Cucamonga. Police say he has warrants for grand theft auto.
So he's not a kidnapping victim?
Apparently not.
And domestic violence.
Oh, boy. He steals cars and he beats women.
He sounds like a real winner.
They arrested the driver Fayed for felony evading police and his outstanding warrant. Police also arresting the passenger for his outstanding warrants.
Fontana police tell us that both the driver and the passenger were taken to the hospital to get checked out, though they had no visible injuries. Again, right now, investigators still trying to determine whether there was a kidnapping here or not.
There wasn't.
Doesn't sound like it to me.
We're live in Buena Park. Hetty Chang, NBC4 News.
So even though these things happen every single day, this one was fairly interesting. This was a fairly standout where a stolen big rig goes about 50 miles before the SWAT team slams into it and shuts it down.
It ends in Buena Park. And you know, somewhere out there, some tourist with knee-high socks and a fanny pack is going to go back to China, and he's going to tell all of his friends how real, not scary farm actually is. All right, it's time to reopen the blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, this edition takes us to San Ramon. I almost said San Bruno, which is Suzanne Summers' home, but it's not San Bruno, it's San Ramon.
No, we have a different story about San Bruno where residents are putting up cones to block people from parking in front of their house, and the cops say, knock that off. We'll do that one later. In San Ramon, I'm sure plenty of people, because we got a lot of people that sent us the video, saw what happened when there was a smash and grab with 24 people running in with pickaxes to destroy the place at a jewelry store. Well, turns out, thanks to technology like drones, they made quite a few arrests. For more, here's KPIX in the Bay.
Well, we begin with the smash and grab robberies that have terrified jewelry shop owners and their customers all across the Bay Area.
Guys, fade out the music already.
By the way, I don't know if you've realized this, Randy, but the people who go to the jewelry shops to commit the smash and grabs, they look like and have many of the same accessories as the prospectors that we had in California in 1849.
Most recent, this frightening takeover in San Ramon, the thieves shooting their way through a locked door just to escape. A new drone video from police shows the mob streaming out of the Heller Jewelers at City Center Bishop Ranch, where they had several getaway cars pre-positioned to make that quick escape. And we've seen...
I wonder how many of those cars were stolen.
Similar incidents in every part of the Bay Area. This robbery in San Jose, rattling community members after the store owner was beaten so badly he had a stroke. Our Brad Hamilton spoke to law enforcement about the challenges that these cases present and how teamwork and technology led to some quick arrests in San Ramon. Hey, Brad.
Yeah, as you just said, police went to work here earlier this week on that smash and grab robbery that involved more than 20 suspects. Now, so far, they have 7 arrested. And
they've got a crew of 20 jackasses to go take down a jewelry store.
I'm telling you, these are professional operations. It's like with the catalytic converters.
Well, and you won't be surprised to hear that some of those arrested were juveniles.
Surprise, surprise.
20 suspects. Now, so far, they have 7 arrested, and now they're showing us how they're trying to finish the job. Smash, grab, go. The steps
that reminds me of the old earthquake drills back in elementary school. Stop. Oh, that's, I guess, the fire. Stop, drop, and roll.
Smash.
Yeah, don't do that during an earthquake.
No, get under your desk.
The steps of the crime are simple. But investigator Lacey Palejo with the San Ramon Police Department says tracing those steps is anything but.
Suspects are getting a little more sophisticated in the planning of it. So it is one of those that we learn from it and we adapt.
And just this week, another tough case landed on her desk. Monday afternoon, a group of about 25 people ransacked Heller Jewelers at City Center Bishop Ranch. Newly released video from police show the robbers storming the store and smashing display cases with pickaxes.
Okay, we know that insurance companies won't cover jewelry shops because of all the robberies. At what point do those in commercial real estate stop renting to them because they know they're going to attract the crooks?
We are getting real close to jewelry not being a thing in California.
Cell phone video showed the suspects getting locked inside, then firing multiple shots to break the glass door and escape. The first to arrive, the department's drone team, headed by Lieutenant Mark Gunning.
The sergeant.
Wait a second. Somebody in the police force has the last name Gunning?
Sometimes your name is your destiny.
Headed by Lieutenant Mark Gunning.
The sergeant overheard the radio traffic from Alameda County. The operator in the drone room overheard that also, that some jewelry suspects may be coming to town, and our drone operators immediately lifted off.
And they flew overhead just in time to capture crystal clear images of the getaway.
I love this. I love hearing how they're using these drones.
Good. And now you have to use that information to go find them. You need to arrest them. You need to charge them. You need to convict them. And you need to make sure that they sit in jail for a good long time.
I'm waiting for us to equip the drones with some kind of knockout gas.
As the suspects ran into waiting cars in the valet area of the parking lot. That video can make all of the difference in tracking down suspects. San Ramon PD says in this case, 3 adults and 1 minor were eventually arrested in Oakland, and
of course,
and another 3 adults in Dublin.
Okay, that one's surprising.
Now, investigators are looking into whether they could be connected to other similar crimes around the Bay Area.
Well, I don't think this was their first time.
No. Again, these are professional operations. This is what they do for employment.
When we look at the cases here in San Jose, in Sunnyvale, in Milpitas.
Edward Liang with the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office has studied these cases closely. He believes the reason they become so common, weak punishment.
When we look at...
Well, yeah.
It's almost as if they listen to this show.
When we look at smash and grabs, a lot of times they're charged as robberies, right? But it is like a much more violent subset of the overall organized retail theft.
But he says state legislation recently passed could help curb the trend.
Certain crimes, certain felonies with 3 or more people, which this would definitely fall under, then there's a potential for increased punishment there. There's potential increased punishment depending on the amount of taking.
Well, potential. You still have to deal with a judge and you have to deal with a parole board.
You notice whenever they talk about punishment, there's always a qualifier.
Well, and these things are sometimes out of the district attorney's hands. If it's not a classified violent crime, you're not going to state prison. You're going to the local jail. And if the local jail is overcrowded, you're getting an ankle monitor.
Yep.
So how much gets stolen?
Police are confident overall that with regional collaboration, the help of new technology, and new laws on their side, smash and grabs won't be quite so easy in the future.
They were working together to try to prevent this, lessen the amount of these incidents that are occurring.
So there you go. A bust was made. They caught a good third of the crew that robbed that jewelry store in San Ramon.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, I keep getting emails from people who say they listen to the podcast when they're on the exercise bike or they're on the treadmill, and you can do that too.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. Go to the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You could download all the episodes. You could work out on your exercise bike in the kitchen like Katie Porter.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Will writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Guys, you remember that game 6 Degrees of Separation with Kevin Bacon, where players try to take the shortest path to link any actor who may have ended up working with Kevin Bacon? I think we can play that same game with Oakland. No matter where the crime occurs, somehow in 6 links or less, it's tied to Oakland.
I think that's a safe bet.
It's a lot of crime now.
And Randy, tomorrow we're going to Universal City.
We're going to help out the Union Rescue Mission as they're going over the edge for a cause. It's tomorrow and Saturday at the Universal Hilton, where you can sign up and rappel down a 25-story building. I did it last year. Frank Motek's going to do that tomorrow. I'm sure he'll come on the show to talk about it. This is all to raise funds to support the Union Rescue Mission and their work with the people experiencing homelessness. Every dollar raised will be matched up to $500,000. So you can sign up, donate, or share this with your friends. If you want to be a part of this great event, go to urm.org/OTE, and Johnny and I will be doing a live broadcast from there from noon to 3.
Okay, going back to the email that Randy just read regarding crime in Oakland, one of the problems that Oakland faces right now is that the police commission and the city places restrictions on the cops in terms of when and how they can pursue suspects. In Oakland, the crooks believe that if they break the law and they're on the run, no one can follow them and they're going to get off scot-free.
If you drive faster than 50 miles an hour when you're evading the cops, the police are told to stand down.
And now the police chief is trying to change that.
Floyd Mitchell, who has already been unsuccessful at convincing the police commission to change this policy several times, is trying again. For more, here's NBC in the Bay.
Will Oakland change its police pursuit policy? The question again before the police commission.
The police chief has been trying to give his officers more freedom to chase suspects all year, unsuccessfully.
Part of the reason why, even if the crime isn't committed in Oakland, the crooks head to Oakland because they know that's when the high-speed chase has to end.
How much do you think this guy regrets leaving Lubbock?
A lot.
Go Texas Tech.
So far. NBC Bay Area's Valina Jones reports he's taking another crack at it now.
Chief Floyd Mitchell wants to allow officers to initiate a police pursuit on their own, then immediately get supervisor approval to continue. Safety advocates.
Wait, so now you're asking them to use the phone while they're driving?
That seems, dangerous.
Are praising the potential changes.
We need to support this pursuit policy to making sure that the police can do their work. Let's not put handcuffs on our police officers. Let's help them to help us to stop all these criminals coming to our city.
It differs from the chief's original request that would have given police more time to notify a supervisor. Both proposals remove the current required permission officers must receive before engaging in pursuits over 50 miles per hour.
So you are a police officer that has come upon the scene of something like a big old burglary of a 7-Eleven, and you see the suspects getting away. Before you can even start to follow them, you got to call your boss and see if that's okay.
Which means, practically speaking, the cops don't follow anyone.
The Anti-Police Terror Project wants the policy to remain as is.
Well, of course they do.
Because they don't want anyone going to prison except for the cops.
It's so interesting to me how I understand the appeal to want to get, both sides to a story. But when one side is, this is what the police say, we need to do our job, and the other side is an organization called the Anti-Police Terror Project, I don't know if you're going to be getting a very fair and balanced analysis of the issue.
Yeah, no kidding.
The Anti-Police Terror Project wants the policy to remain as is, arguing pursuits don't solve crime.
Well, they just solved one down in Orange County.
I still have questions about what then the supervisor decides is worth risking somebody's life. Because every time they engage in one of these pursuits, you are risking someone's life.
So the suspects being able to get away and drive at crazy speeds, that also doesn't risk lives? I'm very confused about the logic here.
Yeah, no kidding.
In someone's life.
Police pursuits have been under scrutiny since Marvin Boomer, a Castlemont High School teacher, was killed by a driver running from CHP back in May.
Yeah, but he wasn't killed by the police officers. He was killed by a criminal running from the cops. So what exactly do you want to happen?
No, this is what they do, though. The crook is never at fault. If the crook does something bad, what you do is you blame the cops, because if the cops weren't trying to catch the crook, then that wouldn't have happened.
CHP claims they ended the pursuit before Boomer was hit. And in 2022, Lolomania Soakai was killed.
That's quite a name.
Yeah.
And in 2022, Lolomania Soakai was killed after a driver fleeing OPD crashed into him.
Again, how exactly is that the cops' fault?
It's not, but their default position is to blame the cops for everything.
A Dante Pointer attorney.
You might want to argue they should be as aggressive as possible. You know, there are certain counties in this state where you run from the cops, they shoot out your tires.
Don't break the law there.
A Dante Pointer attorney for the family is trying to hold the city responsible for his death.
They had a family member taken and torn from them. A mother was forced to watch her son die at her feet.
Why don't you sue the criminal that killed your son?
Oh, we can't do that.
Without any medical assistance because of a police chase.
Governor Newsom pressed Oakland last.
These are the kind of lawsuits that bankrupt cities, by the way.
This is part of the reason that L.A. is in the trouble that it's in.
Chase.
Governor Newsom pressed Oakland last December to loosen its policy and threatened to pull an influx of CHP resources off the streets of Oakland if they don't.
That was yet another fancy headline from Gavin that had no follow-through and shows that even in Oakland, the locals don't care what Gavin says, because right before the fires, Gavin held that big press conference threatening to take away the CHP if Oakland doesn't change this policy, and Oakland still has not changed this policy.
Well, and what's crazy is, as the governor, as a Democratic governor that is ruling and is upset with a Democratic city, if he wanted to lean on them to get them to do what he wanted them to do, he could. All he wants to do is grumble, but not actually do the work that needs to be done to change the policy.
We need to see that policy changed.
They didn't change it. The police commission said, screw you, Gavin.
We need to see that policy changed. This commitment from the state can't continue unless we see commensurate changes.
As the proposal goes for a vote tomorrow, Mayor Barbara Lee says in a statement, quote, our priorities are maintaining safeguards that protect innocent lives.
Maintaining safeguards?
What planet is she living on?
Quote, our priorities are maintaining safeguards that protect innocent lives and giving our police the tools they need to keep Oakland safe. In Oakland, Felina Jones, NBC Bay Area News.
So there you go. Once again, the police commission in Oakland is asked, hey, can we let our police officers chase criminals? And they're probably going to say no again. By the way, this change doesn't even include burglaries unless the officers spot them with a weapon.
And Randy, we have yet another update on public safety in the city of Oakland.
Oakland police is so severely understaffed that now they're going to be dismantling their traffic enforcement department that was made up of 6 motorcycle cops and reassigning them to other things. That's a city of what, 500,000 people? And they had 6 cops dedicated to traffic.
Seems reasonable.
For more, here's KPIX. Here's KPIX. There we go.
We begin in Oakland, where dozens of people are killed every year in crashes on city streets now,
including street takeovers.
and a lot of them.
Oakland police are disbanding their traffic enforcement division. This could also impact the city's ability to respond to sideshows during the week. The police department says those officers will be reassigned to patrol duties to fill staffing shortages. And as Lauren Toms tells us, the chief says the changes could be just the beginning.
When Brian Culbertson heard Oakland police were eliminating their traffic enforcement division, his first reaction was disbelief.
Oakland has a traffic enforcement division at all?
Well, when there's only 6 officers in a city that large, it's easy to see how the residents don't even know that they exist.
For years, Oakland's traffic unit has been small, just 6 officers in a city with thousands of intersections and busy corridors.
If you remember, one of the reasons that the whole pirate thing got so out of control at the estuary is because OPD had 1 boat cop.
That's it. 1.
And when he was out on leave, nobody else was trained to drive the police boat.
On Friday, OPD said those motorcycle officers would be reassigned to patrol beats, a move the department says is necessary to deal with chronic staffing shortages.
6 officers over the size of Oakland with how many lane miles and how many intersections that we have is a drop in the bucket for the amount of people driving, walking, and navigating around the city. 6 officers were probably having almost no effect.
Well, that is true.
That department could potentially be doubled. That's how small the OPD is right now.
The recommended staffing is in the 800s, and they are currently, including all the people that are out on leave, in the low 500s.
Pathetic.
In a statement.
And I don't know how exactly, I don't care how many academy classes you have, how you fix that massive of a deficit when you have 6 or 7 that are retiring every month.
Well, and you just think about the age of these departments. You know more are on the way, and maybe it'll get bigger than 6 or 7 per month.
In a statement, OPD said it will still keep a traffic investigation unit for violent crashes and reminded the public that any officer can stop a driver who breaks the law. The department also noted...
Can they start doing that?
They could start doing a lot of things. They don't, but they could.
The department also noted sideshow enforcement on weekends won't be affected. But
if you want to have one on a Monday, go nuts.
But the bigger problem lies with staffing. OPD has 644 sworn officers, but about 20% or 133 officers are on leave or limited duty, leaving just 511 full.
And of course, because of civil service protections and union deals, you can be out on leave for a very, 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 very long time, legitimately or not legitimately, and getting your full salary.
Here's what's wild. Are jobs at the city level dangerous, and do they result in injuries? Yes, of course. Being a police officer, being a firefighter, being someone who cleans up trash, taking heavy things off the street and putting them in the dump, that's all taxing on your body. But there are a number of jobs in the private sector that are hard on your body too. I would love to know what the percentage of the workforce in the private sector is on leave, medical leave, compared to the public sector. Because it seems like every time we do a story about the public sector, everyone's out on leave. But you don't hear that in the private sector.
We don't have as good of union reps.
Yep.
Leaving just 511 fully available. Police Chief Floyd Mitchell says the department is...
Do you imagine the conversation if you said you needed to go out on leave for 6 months and you wanted to be paid for it?
In the private sector, they'd laugh in your face.
I need a sabbatical. They're doing a cruise around the world, and I just got to be a part of that.
The only person in the private sector who can get away with that is Anthony Rendon.
Police Chief Floyd Mitchell says the department is losing 5 to 6 officers a month, and more specialized units are expected to be reassigned to patrol duties. The Police Officers Association calls the elimination of the Traffic Enforcement Division irresponsible, saying it puts families, kids, and seniors in more danger. They warn the number of officers out on leave is far beyond what a city of this size can absorb.
It's going to boil down to only patrol, where officers answer 911 calls, and criminal investigations, and obviously internal affairs bureaus, where any other resources such as foot patrol, CRO, CRT, obviously motors is the first to go. It's where we're going to begin to see this. And
this is already with a department that won't respond if you call 911 and might say, can you fill out a form online because we can't send somebody over there for 8 to 10 hours.
Which is totally ridiculous.
And it's only getting worse.
The recovery path of this is nowhere near.
Even the people that go through the academy, this is also something that's happening in Los Angeles. You go through the academy, but the bureaucracy is real, as Shangi has said over and over again.
The bureaucracy is real.
Whether it's in Oakland or LA, the hiring process takes so unbelievably long because of all the paperwork that you might be out of the academy and qualified, and a smaller, safer department plucks you away, usually with a signing bonus.
Great.
City of Alameda, which is not a big city, but it's in Alameda County, is still paying $75,000 signing bonuses if you transfer to that department.
You train them, we take them.
The recovery path of this is nowhere near. Next year, we're going to be in the same position. The people that's going to feel the impact is our community members, our businesses in our city.
Meanwhile, Oakland streets remain some of the most dangerous in the country. This year alone, 19 people have been killed in traffic crashes, putting the city on pace to match last year's 30 traffic fatalities.
I guess they don't have Vision Zero.
Well, if they did, it would be higher.
So I've seen too many personal tragedies and heard too many personal stories that I do not want to become one of those statistics.
Brian argues the burden of traffic safety should fall to city leaders, not just the police, and perhaps the cuts could lead to a silver lining.
I don't think there'll be much of an impact that we'll see from losing 6 motorcycle cops.
There's such a defeatism when it comes to interviewing the locals in Oakland.
Every single story, every person interviewed sounds totally defeated.
But maybe the city will see a benefit from those cops being focused more on criminal activity.
Well, except they can't chase them.
No. If they can't chase them, what's the point? You might as well put them on traffic patrol.
And Chief Mitchell emphasized that the decision was made before Mayor Barbara Lee took office. The CHP, in the meantime, has taken over some traffic enforcement duties in Oakland, freeing up OPD officers for other work.
Yeah, the CHP might never leave Oakland.
And how about the California Department of Justice, too? Because they sent the attorneys in as well.
Well, they had to. Pammy wasn't doing her job.
She called me a crime boss.
No one seems to be doing their job. But what's crazy is they're not doing their job because that's where the political will is. They just had an election for mayor, and Barbara Lee got elected.
Barbara Lee speaks for me.
Quite frankly.
Who takes virtually the exact same positions on every issue as Sheng Tao. In fact, she might be worse.
Well, Sheng's funnier.
That's true.
Absolutely.